सो हेलो नमस्कार सभी को एंड अ वेरी जोशफुल जय हिंद टू एवरीवन। मैं हूं मयंक तिवारी और मैं स्वागत करता हूं आप सभी का अंतिम पग के एक और नए स्पेशल एपिसोड। Today we have a very esteemed guest along with us, Colonel Sudhir Deshpande sir. Sir was the psychologist in Services Selection Board. And sir, thank you so much for accepting our invitation and coming to our platform.
Thank you very much for calling me, Mayank. It's
Now I'll
pleasure.
request I'll request sir to please tell us about yourself something, sir.
Right. First of all, good evening to all my viewers and Mayank, thank you for calling me on this platform of Antim Pag. And just three words about me. I've served for almost 36 years. I retired in 2017. Then I had my 4 years of extension. Finally, I retired in 21. And I was fortunate enough to get, two tenures at the selection board. First was in Bhopal from 2000 to 2004, and the second one was in the re-employment. That's from 2017 to 19. And while I was in service, I was also training the ACC entry guys at various formation headquarters. I commanded an NCC battalion, so all the NCC cadets of the Maharashtra Directorate, and otherwise also I was called for. There was a capsule run by OTA NCC Kamti, and there I went twice, including once to Gwalior also. So overall, I would say during my service, I would have assessed more than 5,000 candidates. And after retirement, I'm doing my freelancing and associated with a couple of academies here in Pune as well as outside. So I take sometimes online classes also, those who approach me. And that's how I'm keeping myself busy. Now, as far as your podcast of today is concerned, I'm sure there are so many videos going around on SSB interviews, techniques, and but I thought I would not really go into too much of mechanics and cover those major aspects which a candidate must know before he takes a decision of joining the forge. So, my aim today will be slightly different, and I would like to make a difference by changing the thought process. That's how I'm going to go about it.
यस सर, थैंक यू सो मच। एंड सर वही सेम चीज बोलनी थी कि एट प्रेजेंट आज के टाइम पे हो भी यही रहा है कि अवेयरनेस एंड वीडियोस एंड कंटेंट इतना ज्यादा है कि पीपल एंड कैंडिडेट्स आर गोइंग इनटू द टेक्निकलिटी। वो
Yeah.
नेचुरलिटी खो दी है। तो सर जस्ट वी विल गो ऑन टू द नेचुरलिटी सर। तो सबसे पहला सवाल सर आता है कि व्हाट इज साइकोलॉजी? साइकोलॉजी है
Yeah.
क्या?
So, what I would suggest before you ask me a first question,
यस सर।
I have, a short brief of 2, 3 minutes. I'll cover that, and then
फॉर
I'll
श्योर।
be able to take on your questions. Yeah. So, my aim has always been on training the minds and changing the thought process, how to approach rather than coaching the aspirants. See, I never use this word coaching because I don't want to coach anybody. This is not a sport or any hockey or a football where you coach people. See, this is a training. I would like to emphasize on this word training. So whatever capsules which you have, run at various places, I always say this is not a coaching. And coach by coaching, actually, what happens? You are actually making a candidate a parrot in the sense you are making him speak your language, which is not the case, and which should not be the case. He must, go and attend any class because it's a competitive world, no doubt. Everybody is going to attend class, whether you are joining IIT or CAT exam or so many exams are there, and all the classes are going on. So, as everyone is aware that it's a personality test, and it's important to know that the it is a test of personality of the candidate, and not that of the assessor who has trained him. So, what the candidate should do basically, he should learn all the concepts in all these academies or training classes and then apply his own mind. And then, in that given situation, he should be able to find a solution. But mostly, what happens? The candidates go and speak the same language, what has been taught to them. And anything which comes unfamiliar, they are not able to respond. So, that is where the problem lies. And let me tell you, most of the answers in SSB are based on logic, common sense, presence of mind, mental alertness, reasoning. Then comes, the preparation of current affairs and GK. This should start right in the beginning, the day you take a decision, because it cannot be prepared overnight. So, the preparation of these three technique is not such a big thing. Any class in 10, 15 days, you can prepare yourself. Of course, everybody's takeoff level is different and grasp is also different. So what you absorb in 15 days, maybe after that some candidates normally say that काश हम ये पहले ज्वाइन करते तो हमें पता लगता कि how much we could have possibly improved. So what my suggestion would be that the day you decide, so whether you are appearing for UPSC or non-UPSC any entry, you should be able to start your preparation for SSB at least the of the current affairs and general knowledge right from the day one, and keep a tag of what is happening around the world. Right. So that is a just a simple advice, though as not as a psychologist, but as a ex-assessor. Right. So now coming to some major issues which I have observed over the years. See, the candidates restrict their ideas mostly, and they have very limited ideas. They don't want to explore new world. What they do is what they read in the books, what they learn in the class. So if there is a TAT picture, they write similar story there also. So how can it happen? Let's say you take a case of PPDT also. When there are 20 guys sitting in one particular session, you will find that 10 to 15 guys, or even say, how many themes will emerge? 3 to 4 max. Rest of them are all same. How can it happen? This is happening because they have limited ideas. They're not exploring. This is a test of imagination. So you're not letting your imagination go or work. And you should be able to write what comes to your mind, not what you have read or what you have practiced. So application of knowledge gained and then modifying the thought process is the key to success. That's what I feel. Now, when it comes to the psych technique per se, as you all know, I'm sure most of the listeners, uh, of course, must be freshers. But those who are repeaters, the psychology test is conducted only by one guy or a scientist. And thereafter, all what happens is all your dossiers and the answer sheets are distributed to the various assessors. And then they're not even seeing you, they're not interacting with you. Just by your written expression, what you have written, they are making the judgment whether you're suitable or not suitable. So this is a peculiarity of the site technique. But then the system is developed in such a manner that, all other two, I mean, all three techniques, or rather, I'll say other two techniques are also there. So it's like an X-ray of a personality. Somebody is in some technique, like in GTO, you are performing. In psych technique, you are actually assessing their mind, or you can say karma, vacha, mansa, whatever you say, is a very common term used everywhere. And then in interview, you are talking to the interviewing officer. So the psychologist, without getting biased by any superfluous, all these factors of personality, let's say somebody is looking very handsome or somebody is talking very well, those kind of biases are not there. And definitely, the beauty of the system is that the limitations of each other's techniques are covered by other techniques, and they are complementary or supplementary to each other. So this is what I basically want to say in nutshell. And of course, I'll be taking on your questions now one by one. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So our first question was, what is this psychology?
Yeah. So now it is a very, very, basic question, and I'm very sure that each one who comes for SSB would have heard what is the psychology or what is the subject. And though the name itself uh, is such key, you get psyched. It's going to be a psychology test. That means I don't know what is going to ask. And half the people are otherwise also very nervous. So I would firstly say that psychology is, of course, nothing else. But if your dictionary definition is a science of human behavior, and as you know that no two individuals are alike, there are differences because of the simple reason that each one of us are coming from different backgrounds, different environments, and our socioeconomic status are different. So obviously, our reactions are also going to be different. Even in one family, there are four to five siblings, or three siblings, or two siblings. You will have each one of them behaving in a different fashion. So each one has his own personality traits. And what psychology is all about, that it is the science of why somebody behaves in a particular fashion that we study. That is what the psychology is all about. So let's not get into too much of technicalities of this word as such, but yes, uh, my sincere advice is that let's not get carried away by the word psychology. Though it is a psychology test, but I would say that just be natural and give responses what has been asked. Follow the instructions, rules, and it's like a game. You like you play any new game, and a set of rules have been told to you. While attempting or playing that game, if you forget some rules, obviously you're going to make some fouls and you'll be penalized. So here also in SSB also in all three techniques, or especially in GTO and the Psych Techniques, before doing any task, you are being instructed how to go about it. But actually, what happens when you perform the test or when you write certain things, you forget most of the instructions, and that's where half the candidates go wrong.
So, sir, like while you were making your short briefing, sir, you mentioned two things like what is UPSC entry and the non-UPSC entry, sir. I just had a doubt, sir. Is there any difference in assessing the candidates coming from a UPSC entry and those coming from a non-UPSC entry?
No, 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 not really. See, whether it is any entry, I would say not only entries, whether you go to Army, Navy, Air Force, any selection board, because all the assessors are trained at one particular organization and then they go to the respective selection centers and boards.
Yes, sir.
So the mother organization who is giving you the basic training of assessment is same.
Okay.
And when you go to the SSBs, it is not only the entry, I would say, it is the age group also that matters. So let's say you are a NDA student who is just 17, 18 years old. Probably he
Yes,
is
sir.
just an adolescent and is not matured enough to give certain answers, or probably his answers or responses would be maybe childish because obviously he has not got that kind of exposure to be an independent boy or a student unless he is staying in hostel.
Yes,
See,
sir.
definitely, there that's where the difference lies. If somebody stays in hostel, say after the seventh standard in a Sainik school or something, he would definitely be a more mature person than a guy who stayed with his parents. So whether it
Right.
is, let's say, UPSC or non-UPSC, the assessment pattern is same. The only advantage or disadvantage, I would say, it lies with the candidate because in non-UPSC entry, the call-up is always much more than the UPSC entry. In
Right.
UPSC entry, like let's say ND or CDS, the call-up is around 200. And let's say the average in non-UPSC entry, like TGC or TN 10 plus 2 TES, it is around say 350 or 400. So
Right.
now imagine our handling capacity definitely is not more than 50, 60. Although it's very seldom it happens that we see the handling capacity and the boys who are cleared stage one or more. It is a very rare case. And even if it happens, we always borrow assessors from other boards. So there is not a question of, but we do not have any restrictions to keep only these many candidates in for stage two. So
Yes,
it's
sir.
very clear the advantage is lies with the candidate who are coming for UPSC entries because they are competing with lesser number of candidates.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Now moving ahead, sir. Our second question, that what is the difference between the PPDT and TAT?
yeah, that's a good question, and I'm sure the see the basic thing, PPDT. and TAT. All the tests in SSB, especially the psychological test or even GTO test, the abbreviation is made in such a way like PPDT. Each one of us know what is PPDT. Picture perception. Some people or some students say description because they are not really aware whether it is description. It is basically discussion test. So PP, picture perception and discussion test, and the other is TAT, thematic apperception test. PPDT basically is picture perception. So perception is the first part, that is story writing. Second is the discussion. Whereas TAT is purely the story writing part. Though in both, story writing is a common thing. But PPDT is much more than that because it is a stage one screening test where we are trying to decide who is good or who has some potential or some spark to go to stage two. The stage one consists of PPDT and intelligence test. But out of PPDT and TAT, story writing is only common. Otherwise, when you come for discussion, we are also seeing your how you narrate your stories, how you discuss, how you arrive at a common theme, and there are so many other things which we can see. How you take part in the discussion. Some students absolutely keep quiet. Obviously, if you keep quiet, that means maybe you are low on confidence or something. So we are going to see a lot of other aspects in PPDT. Whereas
Yes.
in TAT, it is just the psychologist who is going to see all your stories on the second day when the psychological test is conducted. So TATs are basically part of the psychological test, whereas PPDT is a part of the stage one.
So, sir, moving ahead, sir, our next question is that what is the base of psychology? Psychology की नींव क्या है?
Okay, so now we already discussed that definition is basically it is a science of human behavior. No, there's nothing as such basis for the from the point of view of SSB. But if you study a psychology as a subject, then it is a very deep subject. It has got so many branches. So we should be, concerned here. Because I am sure you want to ask me basically what do you see in psychology? That should be possibly maybe your intention is that. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ये जो सवाल आपने पूछा है इसमें वी शुड नॉट गो इनटू टू मच ऑफ द साइकोलॉजी पर एज अ सब्जेक्ट पर से बट व्हाट इज
Yes.
एक्चुअली सीन इन अ साइकोलॉजी ऑफ अ कैंडिडेट सो आई वुड
Right.
से हियर the thought process of the ideas like I said that they are going to be different of every candidate who comes कोई भी फैमिली के अंदर भी जैसे मैंने बोला कि इफ देर आर 3 to 4 siblings, each one of them will have different traits. Somebody will be very good in something, somebody will be very good in, let's say, academics or sports or something. So here also when the candidates come, they have to be different and their perceptions have to be different. But unfortunately what is happening is because of their wrong coaching or extra coaching or too much of coaching, they are not able to show what actually they are. So entire natural personality is getting obscured by the too much of coaching or too much of guidance. What I feel that what we are looking for is basically their temperament is suiting to the armed forces or not. And incidentally, all the three techniques are evolved from psychology, whether it is
Mhm.
GTO technique, psych technique, or interview technique.
Right.
And of course, the psychology technique is basically a test where a candidate is writing responses for almost 2.5 hours for the four tests which we have, whereas other two are slightly different. Now, all of us are basically, when I'm very sure that everybody knows that personality is assessed through OLQs. So basically, your question should be, or rather, possibly you want to ask me, uh, what are these OLQs?
Mhm.
And of course, while assessing the OLQs, as a psychologist, definitely we are assessing a psychology of the candidates, and I'll come to that. What basically, when we talk of psychologists and when we talk of certain terms which are not discussed otherwise or told to candidates, so the psychologist is looking for certain important inputs that are related to the candidate. These are like their traits, TRAIT, traits, attributes, attitudes, needs, defense mechanisms. Then there are some conflicts in the mind. Then there are some tendencies. Then there are three very popular terms in psychology: id, ego, and superego. So all these are, part of the assessment of a psychologist. So what he is basically trying to find out. So these are the peculiar terms and peculiar assessment, I would say, aspects which the GTO and the IO would not have the purview to it because their technique is different. So if somebody has very deep rooted feelings and ideas about certain things and is very strong about it, he would definitely give out those because the entire test is, under so much of stress and strain, and the time is so less. So come what may, उसके दिमाग के अंदर में जो चल रहा है, उसने जो अपने जिंदगी में जो पास्ट इवेंट्स हुए हैं, all these are recorded in his hard disk here, and all these events and the pictures, those kind of incidents, he is going to correlate it to the either picture or the word which we saw or the SRT situations. So if we find anybody who is having a little issue about certain things, we may not even take a risk of taking that candidate, because you see, this is not a place where we can do counseling to a guy.
Right.
Look, तेरे में ये प्रॉब्लम है, तू ये सुधार ले, because we have so many candidates coming in. So we will rather not take that candidate, and we will discuss in the conference that I could see these are the issues, and most of the time these issues are also confirmed by GTO and IO because their technique also may reveal certain aspects. And issues like this are always confirmed from the psychologist that did you find any particular problem with the psychology, a particular issue. And if psychologist says that yes, definitely there are issues, then that candidate is dropped. So not getting into too much of psychological aspect, I would rather focus how to go about the test which you are going to conduct, or rather how the responses are supposed to be given. And I'm sure you'll also ask me those questions a little later. So as soon as you come to that, I will cover the other aspects. So
Yes, sir.
now, if you ask me about OLQs also, again, I would say that most of the candidates know that there are 15 OLQs, there are 4 factors, falana artica.
Right, sir.
I would rather say that do not even read these definitions, do not even get to know what these are, because initially only I said that you will only get entangled in the OLQs and you will not be able to write anything because your mind will keep thinking about OLQ. So rather than that, just be natural, and whatever instructions are given, if you just follow them for whether it is TAT, WAT or SRT, you will be able to do a better job. And I will of course cover when you ask me about the other tests little later.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So moving ahead, sir, as you have told about OLQs as well. So we all know, sir, there are 4 tests covered in psychology. The first one is TAT, then WAT,
Yeah.
then SIT, and then SDT. Sir, TAT is that one test which do have the maximum weightage, I think, as it is it too covers the maximum time. So, sir, there are certain questions related with stories and pictures, sir, and I'd like you to please give a brief idea, like how one should.
Yeah. So what I'll do now, I will go about whatever is related to TAT.
Yes, sir.
I will just discuss with you, tell you, and most of our doubts will get cleared.
Yes, sir.
Because yes, as you said, that TAT is the most important test.
Uh-huh.
Because firstly, let's see the full form of TAT, thematic
Yes, sir.
apperception test. Now I would ask you a question. What is the difference between perception and apperception? So
Sir.
thematic, perception and apperception. So perception is what you see. So if I
Right.
see a train is moving, I will say in that picture, a train is moving. That is my perception.
Okay.
But that train is moving from place A to place B. Why it is going, which, how many passengers are traveling, what passengers must be thinking, so many other things.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So all those things will be apperception. That means when you associate your thought process to your perception, it becomes apperception. So apperception is a step ahead of perception. You involve yourself, you associate yourself. So similarly in TAT, when the picture is shown, if you just write that I see in the picture there are 2 people, one is sitting on table, one is sitting on a bench, one is doing this. There are, let's say, uh, one table. There are four glasses kept on it. So you are basically describing the picture. But when you talk about those characters, what is their age, what they are doing, what is their expression, are they in a sad mood, are they in a good mood, what are the other aspects, or I will say, when the picture is shown to you, you must get into the nitty gritties of picture. What all items are kept in that picture? Because at times you neglect certain hints which are given. So let us say somebody is wearing some kind of a white coat.
Yes, sir.
Now, who wears a white coat? And let's say there are a few pictures where the stethoscope is there, or there are two ends which are coming out. But if you don't notice, then you will not perceive as a doctor. You will perceive as something else.
Yes, sir.
So you have to see the picture in totality. But the problem is that there are only 30 seconds to see, and half the candidates will start writing when the picture is shown. This is the time for you to observe the picture very carefully, each character, the mood, and when you are weaving a story, you need to include all the characters. Not necessary that each one will play equal amount of role or somebody has to take a lead. So what I'm basically coming to, that the apperception, thematic apperception test is basically a test where you are writing a story. But the instructions which are given, I don't know whether you appeared SSB, but the instructions are very, very clear that this is a test of your imagination. You have to write a story around the picture. Now, half the people do not understand the meaning of what is the meaning of writing a story around the picture. I will tell you the meaning. When we see the story in PPDT also, similar thing. Now, let's take a case of PPDT story only when each candidate is narrating a story. Sometimes we realize that what you have written as a part of your story on that particular picture, it doesn't make any sense because it is not around the picture. The litmus test of around the picture is that, let's say, you read a story to a person who has not seen the picture. And after you have read the story, let that guy visualize what the picture is. अगर वो picture थोड़ा बहुत, मतलब I will not say fully because he is not seen, but at least he is able to describe certain things which are actually there in that picture, then yes, that story is around the picture. So now you imagine, uh, after reading the story, most of the time we feel that ये story तो picture तो कुछ दिखाया, story तो और कुछ लिख दिया. So that means you have flouted the very basic rule. If that was not the case, then we would have just given you the, you know, 4 minutes time for each story, and we would have said, चलो अभी तुम लिखो 12 स्टोरी लिखनी है, और 4 मिनट के बाद दूसरी, 4 मिनट के बाद फिर तीसरी, फिर चौथी. Why we are showing the picture? Because you must understand the concept. Why these 12 stories, including a blank picture, is shown to you? Because who is designing them? And why we are not just picking up random pictures and showing it to you. These are all designed in such a fashion that whatever OL cues we are looking for, that should come out of those stories if your perception or apperception is right. बट होता क्या है कि जब हम पिक्चर दिखाते हैं तो most of the rules are flouted. Most of the stories are descriptive. Most of the places there is no central character. So if there is no central character, so it's like, I would just give an example. Like, let's say, it's like you are making a movie, and how many chaps are required to make a movie? You will require a director, you will require an actor, you will require a story writer, you will require a, let's say, editor, you will require a choreographer, you will require some music composer and all that. So
Right.
since, of course, musical knowledge required here, and let's say the main thing is actor,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
and of course director. So
Yes, sir.
you are a person who are in TAT doing all these roles, ठीक है?
Yes,
And
sir.
Mainly, you are a story writer and actor also, but you are assistant director also, you are producer also, because producing the picture or a story. So
Right.
what I feel that when you are doing all these tasks together, the main director who is there is behind the screen, who is the examiner. He is composing all the pictures in such a manner that whatever we want to see in you, it is embedded in those pictures and the WAT words and the SRD situation.
Yes, sir.
So if your perception is right, you are going to write the stories the way we want, right? But since you are the main is your any movie, कौन सबसे पहले हम क्या सवाल पूछते हैं कि भाई हु इज द हीरो और हीरोइन.
Right.
So now in this story, if there is no central character, I would say I will never say a hero or a main character, this thing, or a central character or a main character. Somebody has
Yes,
to
sir.
be there because who is that person? He is nobody else, but you are trying to project yourself through that central character's name and trying to show what is there in you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now if you remember the, or if I'll tell you the next instruction, that is the after I have said that write a story around the picture, the next is that while writing the story, you have to keep certain things in mind. The first is what we say is what has happened in the past, what is happening now, or what is the outcome. So, in nutshell, what we are trying to ask you, give a little background. Then, what does your central character has decided to do in that, and then how he achieves his aim. So, whether that aim he achieves and what kind of efforts he is putting in. If he is not putting in any effort, let's say you want to join TGC entry or ND entry, you just say in the first line that he was very much keen to join Indian Armed Forces. He appeared for India and he joined, he cleared SSB, and now he's a officer in the armed forces. So this becomes, a wishful kind of a thing. So you have to know the nitty gritties of how you have to tackle that situation, whatever mission aim you select. So if there are, let's say, 12 pictures or 11 pictures, each picture is different.
Uh-huh.
Now, some pictures are dynamic. Some pictures are based on social theme, where there could be, two, three characters, a male, a female. A scene could be of, let's say, hospital. A scene could be of maybe at home having a cup of tea. There could be a guy who's climbing a mountain. There could be a guy coming down with a parachute. There could be some class going on. So, what we are trying to do, we are trying to rotate you. See, the actor and your everything remains, it's like a drama.
Yes, sir.
You are performing the role of a particular character in that drama. But after some time, or let's say after 4 minutes, we change the theme behind. We
Mm.
change the picture, but the actor who is performing remains the same. So you have to play all the roles of the characters which you choose in that particular story, and how you can do it well, provided you know what is their job and
Yes,
how
sir.
do they do it. So let's say if you project somebody as a doctor, do you know what a doctor does? How he becomes a doctor?
Uh-huh.
Let's say he's an engineer. Let's say he's a scientist. Let's say he's a IAS officer. Let's say he's some anybody or Fauji also.
Uh-huh.
So what does it take to get to that position? And then what does he do? And then finally, what is he doing overall for the society? Is he doing something or he's just earning money and that's the end of it?
Uh-huh.
So when you write a story, if you follow the instructions, now this is what has happened in the past. So give a background. Then if there is, I mean, you got to select some aim. And then how do you achieve it? How do you achieve is more, you have to give more stress. Because you cannot be a wishful man कि बस money ये बनना है और मैं बन गया.
Right.
And then after having achieved that aim, there could be subsequently also there could be some things which you do once the aim has been achieved.
Yes,
So
sir.
events after the outcome. That is how your story, when we say the fourth line,
Uh-huh.
that you may also like to express thought, feelings, and the actions of the characters.
Uh-huh.
So now why we are asking this? Because in that psychology, I use certain terms, the traits, the needs, stress, conflicts. So let us say somebody is in a sad mood. So what is the conflict in his mind?
Yes, sir.
And how do you tackle? So you have to understand the mood of every character and how do you actually identify with them
Uh-huh.
and how do you. So that is how what I'm saying, that you may like to express thought, feelings, and actions of the characters. So you will have to touch upon these aspects also.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. Next, what we say is that what is the total length of the story should be. It should be
Uh,
around 10 to 12 lines, 100 words. But when we find that, see, in one page, it is divided by two, and you have to write two stories.
yes, sir.
You can't, that's what I'm saying. You have to learn the art of writing precise and concise words, sentences, and fill up all these requirements which are given.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, first we'll see your story is just 8 lines. That means you are not covered it adequately. You have missed out on certain issues. That is how it is 8 lines.
Right.
But if you follow the instructions, whether the picture is simple, difficult, dynamic, or whatever, you got to write 12 lines, 10 to
Uh-huh.
12 lines. And what we are actually seeing, what is that central character is going to do? What is he performing? So you should ask a question to yourself after having read the story in your practice only. Let's say, firstly, you should be able to, how do you practice? On one picture, write 5 stories. Forget about time. You take half an hour. Stretch your imagination. How many stories you can write on this?
Okay.
Then what you do is, like I was telling you that OLQs are different. I deal with OLQs slightly differently. I
Uh,
will not tell you to read the OLQs given in the books. What I'll do is I will tell you on the first day, okay, write down all the OLQs which you feel that they are required in the armed forces leader. Make a list of 50. Add
yes.
every day 5 qualities, make it 100.
Okay.
Now this list has been made by you. So I will say, fine, I am giving you a certain test. You
Uh,
try and project all this in this because you have made this list. Forget about which are there in the book and all that, not required. Since you have made the list and you know that these are the qualities which are supposed to be there, you may pick a few words from the OLQs which are given in the books, no doubt. Ultimately, everybody is going to say initiative, self confidence, and ये सब common सबके दिमाग में आना ही आना है. So what I do, I mm, ask my candidates in the class, let's have a game. Each one of
yes.
you will start giving you one word each
Uh,
quality, and it will continue even after, let's say, there are 30 candidates. So again, come back to one, keep doing it, keep maintaining it, keep updating, keep writing. Do now in this, let's say, when we change the picture, so every picture is not based on Fauji theme,
right.
because if there is nobody who's wearing a uniform, why do you want to add? If somebody is, let's say, wearing a scout dress or somebody is wearing a NCC dress, then it is all right that he was an NCC cadet, possibly he can join Fauj. But then when no uniform is shown, there is a social theme. Let's say husband wife discussing, and
Yes,
there are
sir.
some children also. Then there is no need of any Fauji theme or something. So understand that each and every picture is meant for a different kind of quality which we are looking for. When limitations come where you only get stuck with what you have practiced from book or in your class. So I would say that as far as TAT is concerned, it is a test which has maximum weightage because there is a likelihood of going into various directions, unlike WAT and SRT. Because if I show you a word in WAT, you want to tackle it and you want to write an answer around that word only. You cannot go. But picture is like, you can think anything. Your perception can be anything and you can write anything.
Yes, sir.
But unfortunately, that doesn't happen. I told you the reason. Like if I have, let's say, assessed 3,000 candidates in SS,
Uh,
one candidate is writing 12 stories. Okay. So imagine I would have read 36,000 stories. Now, after reading the first line only, I come to know what the story could be.
uh,
So there is no freshness. There is no, everything is stale. everything is copied.
Yes,
So
sir.
understand that this is not a cut and paste competition.
Uh-huh.
This is also not a memory retention test.
Uh-huh.
This is a test where you have to apply your mind in that 30 seconds
Uh-huh.
and write a story around the rules which are given to you and the instructions, and you will not go wrong. ठीक है?
Yes, sir.